Today's podcast is brought to you by drinkers like you. To help support the show, visit patreon.com/haveadrinkshow.
What is Matt's Brewing Company? Is it one of the oldest operating breweries in America? Is it a regional powerhouse of beer production? Is it a conspiracy by the Brewers Association to show that things are fine and the breweries are still thriving in a declining economic climate? It's probably one of those things. So, put on your thinking caps, listeners, as we get to the bottom of this mystery. We'll dig deep and see what we can learn about this brewery that is, for all intents and purposes, a mystery to us. We don't have a Coke problem like Sherlock Holmes. No, instead, we have a drink.
Welcome to Have a Drink, the show where you learn along with us about what you drink. I'm Brittany Lee Walker.
I'm Justin Frazier.
I'm Christopher Walker.
And I'm Casey Price.
Howdy, everybody.
Hey, guys. No screwing around today.
No.
Let's get right into the episode. It's a meaty topic.
Yeah, it's a new year, and we're going to take things a little more serious from now on.
Very serious. No more jokes.
Did I even play the topic bumper then? Because that's very jokey.
Don't laugh about that.
No, there's no laughing.
We're not that drunk. Cheeky bastards. We're not that drunk. We're not that drunk. We're not that drunk.
Today, we are talking about Matt Brewing, one of the oldest breweries in the United States. They were founded in 1887 by Belgian immigrant Carl Xavier Matt, who grew up dreaming of getting into brewing but couldn't apprentice anywhere, so he left for America to try his hand there. He initially moved to Upper New York, Upper being north of New York City, to Westchester County, where he founded a brewery, despite having no experience, and his early attempts failed. Carl's experimental brews did not connect with what few patrons he had. It turns out 19th century drinkers weren't much into drinking beer using sassafras instead of hops. Then again, Trying again, he left his family in Westchester and moved further upstate to Utica in Oneida County. It was in Utica that he founded West End Brewing Experience. But the letters of experience were stolen after opening night and were never seen again. It was there that he had the revolutionary idea to use hops in his beer instead of sassafras, and his sales picked up. The brewery became the cornerstone of the city, and in a few years, it expanded to take over 50% of the town's area. The mayor and city council attempted to stop the rapid expansion to keep the city from turning into a company town, but an unexplained fire happened in City Hall during a meeting and killed all of them. Firemen later claimed some chains and locks accidentally fell on all the door handles and locked themselves, and that the fire was a result of an arsonist cow. This cow was made into steaks at the grand opening of the West End Brewing Company's second location on the same location as the old City Hall.
Well, I mean, I want some steak.
I mean, who doesn't? And also, why waste space?
All right, well, during the 1910s, Carl pushed hard for prohibition in states outside of New York. When asked about it, he was quoted as saying, less competition for me, and then lit a cigar with a handful of $100 bills. He funded prohibitionists like Carrie Nation, buying her hatchets and telling her what cities to go to, except for Cincinnati. Seemed like everything was turning up Matt until prohibition came to New York as well. With the passage of the 19th Amendment and the Volstead Act, Carl Xavier Matt and his brewery were in big trouble. Little New York.
Sorry, no laughing.
With Prohibition stopping the production of beer, Karl Mack quickly closed the business and fled the country. The city of Utica fell into a depression as their only source of income had fled. The city devolved into riots and was cut off from the United States. Army,
Cordoned.
yes. I don't know where my brain was trying to go with that. Like, I started to say it, and then my brain was like, "No, don't. That's not right." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" The army cordoned off the city, and no one was allowed passage into or out of Utica. It suddenly became Escape from New York. The city broke down into tribal gangs, and there are no records of what went on during the 1920s in Utica. It wasn't until 1930 when Karl Matt's son, Francis, snuck his way past the army to see what had become of the brewery his father once owned. Francis was shocked at the state of the city and began a campaign to unite the gangs under one banner to end the chaos. He bribed the army guards around the city to work with him, and in an ultimatum told the people of Utica they could fall in line or be destroyed. This is known in Utican history as the Long Night of Blood, and they say you can still see the streets run red when it rains to this day.
Utica got dark.
Indeed. Well,
I mean, it is fairly north in the U.S., so. Sorry, no jokes.
Oh, no.
Francis' timing was excellent as he brought the city under his heel as the tide was turning against the national prohibition on alcohol. Francis and his people began to rebuild the brewery to its old glory, originally intending on making root beer until he heard of the impending passage of the 21st Amendment. He quickly switched over to beer and made sure that the now renamed Matt Brewing Company was the first brewery to sell beer after the signage of the amendment. Utica, to this day, still technically not part of the USA, but is a fiefdom who has sworn loyalty to the US and its government. Matt Brewing began making a beer called the Utica Club, which originally was the beer served in the underground parties the Matt family threw among their executives. However, as they began to experiment with other flavors and hops to add to their beer, they grew bored of it and began to market it to the masses as an elite beverage, now available to the common man. In 1955, they even enlisted famous Utican Annette Funicello of the Mickey Mouse Club fame to be the brand ambassador of the Utica Club beer.
Most famous person from Utica that I didn't.
Yeah.
Blew my mind.
Young Annette was seen throwing back whole six-packs of the Utica Club on the commercials they ran. And Annette was 13 at the time, but the legal drinking age was 5 then, so it was a little less shocking than it would be today.
Things were a lot more lax back in the day.
It's a simpler.
13-year-old could hold down 2 jobs.
It's true. It's a simpler time.
Ohio's getting ready to be there next week.
Man,
Oh, sorry. Shouldn't be laughing. We have content to get through.
Matt Brewing coasted along with the Funicello ad campaign until 2006, when complications of her multiple sclerosis made filming new commercials impossible. It was then that now regent of Matt Brewing, Nicholas Matt, decided that they needed a new brand to get behind. They settled on Saranac beer. Briefly, they considered Adirondack after their successful Adirondack Lager won GABF in 1991. But after a rampant accusation of bribing the judges led to the ouster of Karl Matt II from control of the company after a congressional hearing, it seemed best to choose a different name. Saranac would have been a number of beers under the umbrella and allowed their aging brewer, Werner von Beer, to truly experiment with new beers and styles. Soon, new styles like the IPA, with its traditional hazy sweet flavors, and the crystal clear stouts began to take hold, not just in America, but the world over. In 2015, Matt Brewing covertly began buying up shares of AB InBev until their board of directors noticed that AB InBev's board of directors noticed that 81% of all shares were owned by Matt Brewing. A very similar story was slowly discovered in subsequent years by Miller Coors, Heineken, Constellation Brands, and IBM. Too big to fail, now the government of the United States allowed this monopoly to go unchecked, realizing that there was nothing they could do to stop them. As the undisputed lord of all beverages, they used their political influence to outlaw water for non-brewing or water gun purposes in 2021.
It was a very important law.
It's water's for the toilet.
No, beer is also for the toilet. Remember, it's only water guns and brewing purposes. And yeah, I think that about does it for the episode. I think we learned a lot here, guys.
It opened my eyes.
And
Weird laws. Yeah.
you can always check us out next Saturday or the Saturday after next, actually, every other Saturday now, for our next live episode. And remember to check out patreon.com, Have a Drink Show, and then also check out our store on haveadrinkshow.com. Once again, I'm Casey Price.
I'm Justin Frazier.
I'm Brittany Lily Walker.
And I'm Christopher Walker. See you guys.
See you next time.
Hello.
Sorry.
Diamond Club hopes you.
Welcome to Have a Drink, the show where you learn along with us about what you drink. I'm Brittany Walker.
I'm Justin Frazier.
I'm Christopher Walker.
And I'm Casey Price.
It's a long intro this time, guys.
Yeah, so I don't know if anybody caught on, but April Fools.
I don't know what you're talking about. I thought everything we did was very accurate, and
Oh, yes, right. Yeah, we're completely cutting out. We're not going to talk about ourselves at all. No, never again.
Yeah.
So
That's probably the most least accurate portion of that.
that seems accurate. Yeah.
the true April Fools of it all.
I'm going to be editing a lot. I feel like. I was almost like, I'm like, I really wish I had like a record scratch sound or something. If that should have come on the soundboard, that would have been perfection. Just to like transition into the next one, but editing.
So yeah, we're back. Don't
Guess
fret
who's
not.
back?
We over the months we were gone, it seemed like every couple weeks I'm like, hey, we should record something to tell everyone that we're coming back eventually.
And
then
I
it just
definitely
never-
meant to.
And then it just never happened.
I kept meaning to it's like, oh, we should like put a thing out and like, send out a message saying, hey, everybody, we're back. We're coming back on this date. And nope, forgot.
No, we all
Yep.
killed it.
Because hey, we took that unannounced hiatus because life.
We announced it.
Did we really?
Yeah, we mentioned we'd be out for a little while at the end of the year.
Yeah, I think, well, at least it was during the, like,
Last
Right
couple shows of
before.
the year.
maybe right before New Year's
Yeah.
Eve. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. But so I mean, we all had a lot of life going on, and two of us bought a condo. Would you get your hands off my beer? You.
I know.
Open it. No.
It.
You don't know if you like a Bach or not, then this marriage, isn't as strong as we once thought.
And this is why, kids, you don't go to the stress of buying a condo together.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is what happens when you buy condos.
Especially with all the drama around ours.
Yeah, it was. Oh God, we could literally do a whole episode on everything that happened around just the purchasing of the condo, of which we paid our down payment or deposit, however you want to look at it, back last year, and it did not get signed into our name until like 2 weeks ago. So things went awry at every step. But no matter what, I was here. Like, I've basically been living out of an empty condo for like 2 months. Like, just weekends and nights. I was here painting and ripping walls out and
finding nothing unusual behind those walls.
No iron crosses painted on the walls on the brick that I was hoping. Ripping that drywall out, I heard faint whispers. There was brick behind that drywall. I wanted that pristine exposed brick. Oh, I wanted it. And then I ripped the drywall out, and there are giant iron crosses painted on it, and then the rest of the walls painted a cream color, and I'm just like, ah!
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and work was in there the whole time too.
But we're mostly moved in now. With the there's just really like a handful of boxes left of just like random things that we're like, I don't even know what to do with this.
I guess if you're seeing the video, there's kind of a new format also. I guess we're slipping in, trying some things. We're not doing live streaming, but we're posting it to like everything after the fact because our internet kind of sucks here. So streaming is a little difficult at the moment. We're trying to fix that. So yeah,
the internet sucks and the bar is already low because it's Spectrum.
But if you're used to watching the video, then you'll notice a different landscape behind me. So yeah, there's that.
Yeah, I mean, we're still, I guess, live to tape at this point. But
yeah, live to tape.
It's how they do The Price is Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. You wouldn't call Bob Barker a liar, would you?
No, but I'd call Drew Carey a liar.
I wouldn't challenge Bob Barker to a fight. I'll say that.
No, but I'm sorry. I'm very upset at Drew Carey after the whole them just being mad that the one dude cracked the code.
But that wasn't necessarily like he was upset at that time because he thought he was getting fired, not for any other thing. There's a whole group of people behind him that is more the problem than Drew Carey.
I guess I'm just kind of upset at him at wearing fake glasses for so long.
Yeah.
All right. Enough about me. What else has been cooking for everyone else over the last 4 months? We're really off for like a whole quarter.
We were. I mean, that was kind of the plan because we figured we were going to be out for a whole quarter with you guys moving.
Yeah. Oh, I guess the other thing, real quick, I didn't bring it up in our, hey, we talked before the show starts. Who knew? I was biting my tongue. It was funny. I went to the doctor yesterday and was told, hey, because I went through the whole thing, basically what I just said with you all, with him. And he's like, we've lost weight.
Oh, good.
So I'm like, well, I've just been eating out like 3 times a day. Like I have been living the supersize me.
A lot of Wendy's.
A lot of Wendy's, a lot of pizza. And and a lot of Raisin Canes.
Oh, yeah.
Cane sauce.
Drizzle it in me. That's my tomorrow dinner.
Anyway, that's what he was just like, so you're still drinking socially? And I was like, yeah, not been really social for like 4 months. And then he just kind of like raises his eyebrows and just like looks over his glasses at me. He doesn't have glasses.
Yeah.
He gives me that look.
Wait, doesn't he?
Now I can't remember.
But for the purpose of the joke, all doctors have glasses when they raise their eyebrow. They put them on just so they can do it.
But he gives me that look. It is just like, and it's like like, hey, your drinking could be why you gain weight.
Yeah.
Because he's like, your blood pressure is fantastic. Like, everything's awesome. And I'm like, well, the show starts back tomorrow. So getting social again. Cheers, Doc.
cheers, Doc.
I mean, to be fair, our doctor, like, didn't we talk to him about like,
Hey, we've talked to him about the show.
oh my god, the barrel aged festival thingy.
Yeah, we talked about Fobab.
Yeah.
Because he's been to Fobab. Because I think he's from the Chicagoland area.
Gotcha.
So he's well versed in Fobab. All right. Well, that's all me.
Brittany, what you got? We'll finish up the Walker household.
First, hold on.
The same.
Oh, sorry.
On Fobab,
Fobab.
Festival of Barrel Aged Beers, right?
That sounds right.
So what about FOMAB? FOMAB. I had to spell it in my head there real quick.
FOM.
Yeah, that's why people go to line shares. FOMAB. Fear of missing a beer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's why everyone goes to GABF.
My God, has it been a... We weren't during the show during Baba Day, were we?
No, we were not.
Yeah. Well, I know what I'm going to be talking about for a minute. I should have...
Go roll with it. Tell
Yeah,
us.
it's fun. No. We're going to do Brittany, but now I'm realizing I may go grab a beer to do what I'm drinking with that I did not initially grab.
I mean, I haven't done anything important. It's the same crap. Like we moved, and I am still at my job and learning more Japanese. I learned a very important phrase that I feel like I could use for the show.
Oh, I was going to say where, because the important things I think of in any language you're learning are
Where's the bathroom?
where's the bathroom? 2 beers, please.
Feed me, I'm hungry.
And where's the shoe store? Because those are the things I can say in Spanish.
Mine is right now. Iru o nomimashou. Let's drink beer.
But
Nice.
she forgot to ask for a Japanese translation of the Finnish word for underwear drunk.
Oh yeah, no, I can't even remember the Finnish word. Like it's car something.
It's been a while. Like, my tolerance might be a little down. I might need to get underwear drunk.
I think that's where I'm headed because I've got a good sweat going. I mean, we were brunching it with chemtrail mix and a bunch of bourbon.
That stuff was
and
good.
Scotch today.
Tec-
Like, no
technically,
food. Brunch alcohol.
This is technically the second episode of this episode.
It's true.
Not that
Look-
that makes us sound more drunk.
There was going to be a minute there where if we did it what we were drinking, everything was going to be owned by Matt Brewing. But I also appreciate just the hard ripcord pull. Like, no, we're done. Move. I'm like, thank you. So, yeah, not a whole lot going on. I've not moved. I've not done anything. When the show is not working, I just go into a deep slumber, and I live only for D&D and Kane's chicken.
You've actually been bitten by a werebear, and you have to hibernate. It's the secret. Sorry, guys, we're announcing the secret of why we actually went on a hiatus.
Yeah, I had to hibernate for the winter. It's true. We came back, like, we're recording this like, a couple days after the start of spring.
Yeah. Facts.
It's like when the weather gets to 70 to 80, you come out of hibernation or something.
Just come like wandering out of my apartment, shitting out the plug I put in there while I slept.
His apartment door just literally became a cave. Like, it's what he does with all the empty beer cans and bottles. He packs them in around it.
God,
That is a good Reddit channel. Neckbeard nests.
Where parents. But yeah, not a whole lot's been going on. I did. There was Baba Day. Didn't get to tell you the glories of Baba Day. But I was the only one of the crew down there this time, which was funny. You can find pictures they took from Baba Day 2023, and you can see me in there awkwardly roaming the place, trying to not be in a picture.
I imagine it's you. Like, you can see you in the background acknowledging the camera and trying to step out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yep.
all of them.
There's at least one where they took the back of my head, and I looked at it like, oh, yep, there I was. But I mean, that was this year's Babas were like real good.
Isn't that every year?
I mean, they are every year. They are very good. And
What year has been a miss? None.
that is, yeah, it is. I don't envy I would not envy the brewer on those days, just knowing like all you know is what could go wrong. Everything has to land perfectly every time.
We're all waiting now.
And it does, but man, I dropped off a couple of the bottles I bought for you guys. I think Chris, you got the French toast, and Casey, I don't remember what I left you.
I don't recall. If you name them, I could tell you, but I'm pretty sure I've already drank it.
Yeah, yeah.
Casey just
wasn't
looked
base.
down, well, over the lips and through the gums.
It wasn't the base. It wasn't the peanut butter banana.
No.
I don't remember.
I want to think. So the reason I say this is they didn't do a blueberry, did they? Because I want to think it's blueberry, but that may have been a previous year that I actually drank.
I think it's a previous. Yeah. Anyway, I got to play Liquor Fairies this time as I was traveling.
It was something that was like chocolate, maybe, or something along those lines, or had chocolate in it.
Yeah, I can't think of what it is right now. I don't think they did s'mores this year, did they?
I do not remember. I
Yeah,
mean, I wasn't there, so
no, it's fine.
Like
what was nice, I will say, with that day though, was that they broke out some of the old Baba, or like they even made small like little six stools for the day. They had the baklava.
Oh,
yeah. If there was a time for you to have missed that day, Chris, it was not that year.
I missed that this year. I had to cancel my reservations for Dark Lord Day. I'm just, man,
it's a rough
year for beer stuff. But it's like, it was the be responsible. Like I looked down and had to do the shucks thing. And I'm like, yeah, it can't always be about me having fun with my beer. I've done it for the last few years to keep my sanity.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to Disney and putting a lot into that. So yeah, the condo and the kid and yeah.
But yeah, that's more or less all I've had going on. Casey, what's going on in the land of the broken thrones?
The land of the broken thrones. As far as the eye can see, there are toilets broken.
Oh no.
No. Well, I don't know. Like, as of the airing of this episode, like I'll be switching things in the company, and so like April 1st is my last day in the current role that I'm in, and moving over into another role. Actually, the exact role that I interviewed for in the first place, and then got put in this one. But that division deals with a product that I've worked with for a long time. So I was like, okay, it just took them enough time to realize that I was over here. So moving into that. Past few months, it's been a little bit of like travel. I mean, for it to be, just a few months, we've been to Detroit and to Boston and to on a cruise, and so it's been kind of all over the place. And in that time, I've had the opportunity to find a bunch of different like rums that I would normally be able to find in the state. So picked up some stuff.
May have inspired some episodes later this year.
Exactly. Got some exploration in there. So let me see. Grand Cayman, I got a couple rums from there that you just can't like purchase as far as I could tell, in the States, you couldn't buy them. And then went up to Michigan. So they get distribution that's differently from ours. And I don't know if you've seen Plantation rum. It's not one that I've been able to find in this state, at least.
Yeah, I know the name of it. I don't think I've seen it.
So they're like the big, when you look at inexpensive, I mean, rums are generally inexpensive, but if you look at really good rums that aren't super expensive, like a liter of their white rum is $20. but it's also super high quality. Whenever I was flying out of Detroit, I actually noticed they had it as their Sky Club rum of choice, their 3-star. So I was like, oh, I just bought a bunch of this. That's great. And I haven't seen it in any other Sky Club. Like, it wasn't in Boston, wasn't in Atlanta, and so like it's something that I feel like they don't get wide distribution. That's why Detroit's got it. Maybe the West Coast too. So I've been experimenting with those, some different ones. Can't wait to talk about plantation pineapple rum because it's made totally different than you would expect to have rum made. So if we talk about them at some point during the rum episodes. Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, all right. I think it's kind of caught up.
Let's get caught up, and any announcements really for the show? I think I'm like thinking back. It's like I think we announced it during New Year's Eve, but we could announce it again that our series, because every year we're like, hey, we're going to take something that we glazed briefly in the past, and we're gonna dive in a little harder, a little deeper. We're gonna figure out the things that we just kind of went in one ear and out the other. And so, yeah, it's going to be sake this year. We're going to actually get a professional brewer to assist.
If only one of us knew one.
If only one of us knew one, and if only the show had maybe recorded with them before.
Only I was at that brewery almost every week.
If only you were their barfly.
If only their bartender would look at me and say, "You've worked here longer than me."
Man, is that one dude still there?
Probably. I think I know who you're talking about. But
awesome regular dude who ended up being from our region.
Yes. Yeah, no, I see him every so often. Good dude. I like him.
Have I met him?
I don't know if you had maybe actually. We could talk later. I don't want to say names.
Yeah. Don't want to dox people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's coming. Get ready. We're going to get into some sake. We're going to figure out all the stuff, that we have never had a clue about. So this is the revisit of the revisit.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be like 3 to 4 episodes deep. That's deep.
How deep is your love?
All right. We actually have a topic.
Mm.
We're not that drunk. Cheeky bastards. We're not that drunk. We're not that drunk. We're not that drunk.
That's a lie because we were refills before we started filming the fake episode.
I was gonna say it's like I've been drinking we've already drank through one episode. Good God.
I'm on a cocktail and poured super heavy on the liquor. So what you would normally get in here's a splash in the glass is more like this is a tall boy.
I have tried to teach you.
So
don't pour the heavy hand. It will throw your balance out.
So here's the problem. The
your
bottle,
hands are just so heavy.
The bottle is empty almost, and it's one of those that I've been trying to okay, it's got 3 shots left in it. Let's just go ahead and get rid of those because I need to throw this bottle out. It's been here forever.
Sorry, there's more constantly. You're like, what is happening?
You're having your Hanukkah moment with.
What?
You're taking an alcohol that should last but one night and stretching it over 8. The other option, which was still going to be,
you're like, this bottle gets finished tonight, and somehow you're like, I made glasses deep. What's happening?
The other still biblical joke was going to be, yes, you have multiplied. You had bread and drinks,
the fishes,
and you have split them among 5,000. You have served the multitudes.
Oh, it's too good. All right. Yeah. So
we are actually talking about Matt Brewing today.
We are. So we had this moment when Casey brought it up. Do you want to explain how this?
I want to point out there are 2 lies, 2 things that were actually true in that last episode.
Everything else was a flat lie. And
pretty much.
Told Bob I read 2 sentences of it and had to walk away. So I was like, nope, I want to be completely surprised by the rest of this.
There's a certain point when I'm looking over there as we're reading, I was like, I think I wrote this more just to see how much I can make Chris laugh. But there were two things that were true. One, Annette Funicello of the Mickey Mouse Club is from Utica, New York, and she did have multiple sclerosis.
Somehow that was too awkward to not be true.
After I had like deemed her the person I picked, I was like, oh, she felt embarrassed because people thought she was a drunk because she had multiple sclerosis. I feel bad about this.
Yeah, that's when I was like, this might be a poor taste moment for us, but we're going to roll with it.
Look, I'd putting it down. There was no way to backspace that off there.
Yeah.
What was
French
the other
toast.
There's another, what's the other? There's like one other little true thing in there, and I don't remember what it is now. Anyway.
But so Matt Brewing, Casey brought it up one day. It was when we sat down to plan out all the episodes for this year, and he was like, have you guys ever heard of Matt Brewing? And it was just like, no. And he's like, well, they're like they're in the top 20.
Yeah, 15, 16, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, top like volume producers in the country and have been for like a decade or longer. And we're like, you're lying. And then he starts sending us the evidence. And it was like, I've never heard of them. I was like, what is this?
I went interrogating brewers I knew and saying, have you ever heard of Matt Brewing? They're like, no, that's not a real place. They are on par with New Glarus Brewing in terms of production.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell? We're like, are we being gaslit? Like, what is this? And then I was trying to find a logo. Like, Brittany was looking for a logo to put with this episode, and then suddenly couldn't find the pictures we had found a week prior. And we're like, is this shit getting erased like behind us? Like, what? Who is messing with us this hard? And that's when we're like, no.
We've covered the top 50 lists. We do them fairly annually, to be perfectly honest. We didn't this year because whenever they, at the beginning of the year, well, I don't know, they may not come out at the end of the year yet. But we typically like know who the top brewers are.
And this has never tickled our fancies.
We've never been like, oh, who's Matt Brewing? Even though the other 48 on the list, 49 on the list are breweries that we know. Like,
I'm willing to bet that there's somewhere in one of these where he said Matt Brewing, don't know who that is, and just kept moving.
So I'm willing to bet that if it's there, somebody's put it in, like post. They've erased the old file, did some AI stuff on a file, and then put it back in, and it's just fake.
I'm with Casey. It's revisionist history. Like someone has gone behind us and created this.
I was about to.
I talked to no one is like, oh yeah, Matt Brewing completely.
See
the actual like the name that you can find now that we'll get to in the episode. No one is like, oh yeah, I know them. And it's like people who are in the industry, people who have been beer buyers, and they're like, no one has heard of this.
Until Casey said he was convinced an AI was going backwards to change that data, I was going to say, let's put stake bets, because I was talking explicitly about our show and us recording it and saying I don't know who Matt Brewing is. But no stake bet now. That's I don't want to be just guaranteed to be getting steak.
So this is literally just like seriously the art we put out there for this is the aliens dude from History Channel. That's like
I was
Matt.
quite proud of my.
It's a good job.
The first is he was
in Lexington like this past weekend or something.
Yeah, because it was the Comic-Con.
Yeah. He's one of the guests for the Lexington Comic-Con thing.
That's amazing.
But it's like her first couple tries. And even when she tried to correct it, she literally just made the Boston Lager logo instead of what the Sam Adams guy was with him. And I was like, it's perfect. It's perfect. Don't change it. Like you couldn't have, like it couldn't be more perfect.
All right. Well, let's see if we can learn something here.
Because hence all that. This is why we decided this would be a great April Fool's, because like a week before we recorded it, like Bob came up with it basically.
Yeah.
And then wrote it, over the last day or two. But we really wanted to kind of like dive into who they were, but it just made so much sense. So now let's dive into actually who they are.
The real history.
Which was simultaneously fascinating and infuriating to research.
I can imagine.
We will talk about points of contention I have later down in this episode, but
we all sat in a call a couple weeks ago and for like 45 minutes furiously Googling, trying to find out anything we could, and we couldn't find Jack. And we're like, what is up with this? And that's when we're like, no, we got to find it. It's an episode.
All right. So, originally founded in 1888, because even the years were wrong in that joke.
Also,
Yeah, which
before
is
the,
great.
so that reminded me. You talk. I know it. Oh, well, okay. I'm not going to say I know. Hopefully, this is not the real truth of there being a fire, but there always usually is a fire. I made a note to myself to grab that sound clip from Dickinson when he's like, "It's the 1850s. Things burn down all the time." I just want to have that ready for our show now.
Brittany, while I'm reading, you should go find that clip.
You're gonna need it.
You're gonna need it today. You'll hear when, but I would suggest searching right now.
We're not going to be the 1800s forever.
No, it's not necessarily 1800s, but we'll get there. Originally founded in 1888 by German-born immigrant Francis Xavier Matt. I will also point out I maintained that the only reason to be anywhere north of New York in New York State was that you were in Westchester County and you've been accepted into the Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters. And the fact that this man's name is Francis Xavier Matt just really drilled that joke home for me. It's like, God.
The brewery was just a cover.
I couldn't figure out a way to name it Xavier's Institute for Drunken Children. Actually, that's it. That's how I would have done it.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
You just
God! Oh, I quit.
We have to revisionist history or our own history on this one.
Sorry, the humor of realizing that I just found the perfect thing hours too late. Anyway, originally founded in 1888, German-born immigrant Francis Xavier Matt. Matt Brewing Company earned its reputation as one of the country's most respected brewers of specialty beer. Today, the brewery is run by the third and fourth generations, both Nick and Fred of the company, of the Matt family. Staying true to their German heritage and still crafting beer to the exacting standards set forth by their family over a century ago. Francis Xavier Matt, or FX as he's known, spent many years working at the famous Duke of Baden Brewery in the Black Forest region of Germany before coming to the United States in 1885.
You know, they have the movies. No, okay, I'm just left out there on that. You know what? You all can just.
Sorry. He dreamed of owning his own brewery, and after several years, finally organized the West End Brewing Company in 1888. That's the other thing. West End Brewing Company was the only other fact. That's the name of the place. Yep, nothing to hear here. The brewery was renamed the Matt Brewing Company and became one of the most successful breweries in Utica, New York. That's a very narrow focus, right?
Yeah.
I'm one of the most successful breweries on Main Street in Pikeville.
I'm one of the most successful people in my apartment. One of two, I'm the top two.
That's, you laugh, but that gets used way too often in the corporate world. Like, they'll put out like, we're the top.
Oh yeah, very
top 10,
specific.
and there were 11 people that were in it. Yeah.
I am in the top 2 of people shitting their pants in this household.
I mean, y'all have seen Apple announcements. Like, that's all the time.
Out of all the people in this household, I am number 2 for taking a number 2 in their pants. Only one person does it more than me.
I may be, well, I'm trying to think, like, do we count, because I'm going through the math in my head here. I'm like, do we count like the diaper years? Are we saying that like diapers didn't count?
That didn't count. It's when they hit cloth, that's when the ticker starts.
When cotton's on the back, that's when we count. All right. Yeah. There's 4 in my household, and I may be in the top 2.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a little drunk.
Mm-hmm. Well, since Francis Xavier Matt had gotten so much experience from the Duke of Baden, FX Matt II remarked that under the Duke's tutelage, he had his FX Matt I gained brewing experience, quote, as an art, not a science, as a way of life, not a way of making a living, end quote. Combining his talents with Charles Bierbauer, that's a good German drinking name right there.
Oh, really?
Who was additionally skillful in old world brewing techniques. Matt nurtured a reputation as Utica's West Side that resulted in his role as brewmaster, superintendent, and treasurer of the newly organized West End Brewing Company in 1888. FX Matt I led the brewery until 1951.
Okay, long and prosperous history there.
That man had to have lived filled with hate, because only very hateful people live
Yeah.
that kind of length of time. You're like, oh, are they not? No. Neither God nor the devil want them. That's why they're still here. I've worked in customer service too long, and that was how I would think of certain customers. Though FX Matt I stayed on in the brewery as chairman until his death in 1958, his son, Walter Matt, began his tenure as the president of West End Brewing in 1951, serving in the role until 1980. Walter Matt modernized brewing operations. He also assisted efforts to attract new business to the Utica area as the region entered its post-industrial period.
So I gotta say, he seemed like, definitely, if you've done it that long, he became one of those people where like the job was keeping him alive.
Yeah.
Why, with all the names and everything, does this seem more fake than the previous episode?
The true history feels more fake. Other than the one that was basically like a one step away from being Karl Marx.
No, I feel like that's a possibility at that time.
So just a quick aside, because we're going to have some, because everything about us being serious, that was a complete lie.
Oh, God, yes.
We're going to do all of our asides and everything 9 miles long.
Was that not obvious by the amount of time we spent so far?
Yeah. So the whole being like, oh, yeah, the people who the job keeps them alive. We had a driver for us. I worked for a solid waste company. So he was a garbage man. And I was so thrilled when, like, the dude had worked for the company for, what was it? It was like 46 years. Like, it was nuts. And he retired. Like, he retired almost a millionaire. Actually, no, he is a millionaire. Like, with all of his money. He was double dipped because he's been with the company so long. He was in the pension fund before they cut it off, and got enrolled in the 401k. So he got the double dip of both of them.
Double dip, nothing. The man spent 2 lifetimes in each retirement system.
And but he was the dude was just like chain smoked constantly. He was so nice. And I was like, he's one of these, he's old. I was like, he's gonna be one of these guys that, like, when he's gonna retire and he'll get to enjoy like a month of retirement and then die.
I was waiting for you to say he is already dead.
That's what I was afraid it was gonna happen. And then, like, over a year later, he just like stumbles into our new office because we moved to a new building. He just comes in wearing board shorts and like a Hawaiian shirt unbuttoned with his chest out. And he's just like, hey guys, like, just enjoying life. And I'm like, dude, go you. I was like, that is awesome. I love it. I was just so happy to see someone just like, he was like, dude, no one enjoy. Like, you need to enjoy it. You've earned it.
Casey, can I start showing up at places in board shorts and a Hawaiian shirt unbuttoned down?
As a 70-year-old man works that hard that long.
Yeah. I don't have any problem with this. But the question is, like, that's a guy who just doesn't give an F anymore. And so, like, Do you have to care about the F's someone gives?
Yeah.
If you don't have to care, then yes. I mean, babies could do that. Nobody would care. It's okay.
That's fair.
He's essentially what's his name from Dragon Ball.
Oh, Master Roshi.
Yeah.
I mean, we all watched Office. What is it? Office? Not
Office Space?
Office Space. There we go. At a certain point, like, it could be endearing.
All right. Well, back to the episode. Center.
Meanwhile, back at the episode.
Meanwhile, back in Serious Town, Matt Brewing Company, like many New York breweries during Prohibition, was forced to adapt or die. During Prohibition, the brewery began making soft drinks, including the popular Utica Club Ginger Ale and non-alcoholic malt tonics. That sounds awful.
Okay, hold on. Just a second about the malt tonic. We're going to get there. But this is a thing I'd always heard in stories. I had to double check our research from like old stuff. I found them. Finally found them. Let's continue.
However, they never forgot their history as a brewery and found a sneaky way to keep their customers drinking. On the malt tonic label, the brewery advertised, "Caution, do not ferment, do not add yeast, or you will create beer."
There it is.
Makes sense.
Okay.
There was somewhere in the research I had heard about a brewery that did this when we did the Prohibition episode, a lifetime ago, and I didn't know the name of it. It's not in our episode.
It was Matt. I refuse.
No.
This was also I knew of it on Bricks of Grapes.
Grapes, yeah. Wine also did that, yeah.
Fortunately, Matt didn't have to spend too long relying on his customers to make beer for him. A strong supporter of the repeal prohibition, not actually,
Actively campaigning for it.
I do like that, like in every state but New York.
Yeah.
Matt was actually in Washington, D.C. the day it was repealed and got one of the first brewing licenses after repeal. "We sold the first legal beer in the country after Prohibition," said Matt Brewing Company spokeswoman Megan Fraser, and they've been brewing ever since.
See? Don't you feel like this is a brewery you should know about?
Right?
Like
This
it
should
be
have popped up.
celebrated.
After Prohibition, it was just yellow beers. People just wanted to drink, and then people got sophisticated. So Matt began producing Saranac, a distinctive but drinkable brew.
That is decades later, but spoilers.
Company was also the first in the United States to obtain a license to sell beer after the end of Prohibition. Another very important factor for marketing was the Utica Club, natural carbonation banned. Is it? Yeah, carbonation banned beer drinking song. Okay. On March 21st, 1968, members of the Utica Club sales previewed a new campaign called Swings, created by Wells Rich Green Inc. Campaign started with the introductory television spots featuring a mythical nightclub, the Utica Club, which embodied is anything like the Viper Room?
Oh, God.
Which embodied the most desirable features of the best nightclubs in the world. The campaign introduced Utica Club natural carbonation banned beer drinking song. The selection was created for the Matt Brewing Company by one of the commercial music's. What, my brain just did a thing. Okay. Commercial music's best credentialed composers, the great Sasha Berland. Forgotten Buffalo, 2014. Wait.
Yeah. Don't worry about that.
This song aimed to persuade the customers that Utica Club was a hip nightclub and people would drink Utica Club beer while listening to this song. Okay.
I'm trying to remember, and I might not have made it to the episode, but let me. I'll have to double check real quick. But I think there's like Jonathan Winters is in this ad campaign.
Really? Well, in order to maintain its market presence amidst the larger ongoing beer pricing war, FX Matt II developed a two-pronged strategy. First, Matt II initiated a new Saranac line of beers with the advice of notable brewmaster Joseph Owades. originator of the light beer formula. Okay. This is more that like feels like we should know this.
Right? That's what I was about to say. Like, yeah, feels like we should have heard about this before now.
Second, teaming with family members, including his brother Nick, Matt second purchased the brewery from a family trust, subsequently reconfiguring the brewery's corporate strategy with the ultimate goal of augmenting the Saranac brand. The Saranac brand eventually gained the brewery new esteem in the microbrew category of brewers, and a company that had seen sales of its beers plummet during the 1980s witnessed a doubling of sales during the early to mid 1990s.
Jonathan Winters was connected with the Utica Club beer stuff, which was like their main beer at the time, but not for that song. He was part of a ad campaign for Stein cartoon characters they had, where Jonathan Winters provided the volts of Schultz and Schultz, Dooley, and other beard steins that appeared in the commercial.
Okay.
Sorry, again, feel like some of this should have popped up before now.
Yeah. No, it's because conspiracy.
Make them fake, guys. Like the fake episode definitely sounds more. In fact, the more we hear about the history, the more I feel like, oh, this was made up.
Yeah.
Like
The
more realistic.
The more you think that Utica became a purge-like hellscape during the 1920s.
We don't know.
It was the 20s. That's why you have prohibition. They were like, alcohol did this. No, we got to get rid of it.
Okay, so before I start, I found that clip. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it because we haven't used StreamYard for a minute, so I don't know, those settings, but I'm going to play it.
It's the 1850s. Things burn down all the time.
So, FX Matt II served as brewery chairman until his death in 2001. 2001.
Again, these guys stay alive and in business forever.
And it's like, that's much longer away than I thought we were getting into.
It's because Lucky Strikes are toasted.
Currently, the brewery is overseen by Nick Matt. Also, Matt shouldn't be a last. The whole thing, this is wrong. Chairman and CEO, with his nephew Fred Matt serving as president. The brewery continues to host, as it has for the past 11 years, Saranac Thursday Night, a weekly social event during the summer featuring beer, food, and live music, drawing thousands of people to Utica's Varick Street.
Can't lie to me. There's not thousands of people in Utica.
I know nothing about this place. It just doesn't sound. At this point, it sounds made up.
There aren't thousands in Pikeville either, but you've seen Hillbilly Dice.
They come from all over.
Utica is the county seat, apparently, of Medina County. The things I learned during research.
Yeah. As a result, the surrounding confines of the brewery has been marked as the city's brewery district, which has witnessed a renaissance of local night spots and the addition of restaurants and live music venues. The company is in its fourth generation of family ownership and is led by...
That's a repeat. I didn't get a chance to remove it.
Yeah. Well, some of it. Okay. So the brewery is served by the New York... Ooh.
Saskatchewan.
I don't think that's what that word is.
Susquehanna.
That sounds correct. Susquehanna.
So I had to look it up because I watched a video on it recently. Basically, Utica, in my mind, is Gary, Indiana. Simon did a whole video on it's like the worst city in the U.S., Gary, Indiana.
Well, no one's surprised.
Because for the...
Isn't that where Jerry, Gary, Terry from Parks and Rec goes on his vacations?
I think so. But they have a higher death rate than Chicago, or they did for like the last 3 decades.
All right.
With like the tiniest population. And apparently even the locals are like, oh yeah, the murder rate's on the decline because there's no one left to kill.
So is it just the village from Hot Fuzz?
No, it's not nice. It's an old it was a company steel town that is like more than dried up. Like it's still just the steel town, but there's like no one employed by the company anymore.
Okay.
So, day job, I talk with clients from all across U.S. And so we'll get on and do a call. That's first time you meet them, and you talk through what they want. And I've got a client right now who wanted to get some data from a DMA, a digital or basically an area in marketing where a TV station will be broadcasting to. The area that they wanted had a situation very much like Susquehanna, where this was in New York. It was Schenectady, or
yes.
at least however you say that.
No, that's right.
That's actually-
Okay. So the first time I jump on this call with them, they're like, "Oh, here's our list of places we want to do," and I'm like, "Oh, cool. Let me just read them off to make sure I've got everything here." And I get to Schenectady, and I'm like, "Oh, you just put that one in there to mess with me." Very much like these shows have odd words. That's how I felt at that moment.
No, that's not a real. Next thing you're gonna tell me, there's a place called Matt Brewing.
That's what I have to ask them next time I'm on a call with them. Be like, "Listen, you ever heard of Matt Brewing? They're in the state."
Everyone from here on out, you're just going to be like, weird question. Side note. Have you heard of Matt Brewing?
Is this John Galt bumper sticker now?
Oh God.
I don't know what that means.
You don't need to. It's fine. The less Ayn Rand in your life, the better.
Okay. Where was I even? Okay. So the brewery is served by New York. Oh my God! You just said it.
Saskatchewan.
Son of a bitch.
I'm too drunk to try to say that.
Western Railway from their line next to the brewery, which runs down the middle of that street.
Susquehanna.
Okay. On May 29th, I'm not even going to try. On May 29th, 2008, a fire broke out. God.
Clip.
Fire broke out.
It's the 1850s. Things burn down all the time.
Although it is like not even kind of the right year. But
No, not a bit. But just so you say, oh, like fires happen all the time. Like they do happen.
So, yeah, fire broke out because of course it does. In the packaging section of the FX Matt Brewery, fire was caused by a spark from the welding going on inside the building. Yeah, the fire destroyed
How they brew the beer. They weld it into the kegs.
Obviously. The fire destroyed the second and third floor of the packing building. During the fire, Utica City Public Safety Commissioner Daniel Labella warned reporters about 2 blocks from the scene, quote, "Don't breathe the fire," presumably meaning smoke.
No, also don't breathe fire. It's not a good thing to do.
Generally, yeah.
Really?
The fire caused
Breathe in fire, Casey.
Oh, okay.
You can breathe it out.
The fire caused more than $10 million in damage. Brewing and kegging of Utica Club resumed the following week. Canning operations temporarily moved to the High Falls Brewing Company, makers of the Genesee. Is that how you say it? I don't know. Sure. In Rochester until the damaged equipment could be replaced.
It just reminds me of the time one of our unnamed friends who was a volunteer firefighter responded to a gas leak. And one of the other responding volunteer firefighters went to light up a cigarette outside. He smacked it out of the guy's hand and go, "No."
That's just, that reminds me it sounds like a King of the Hill thing. I think it
It does.
was a King of the Hill episode actually. Okay, yeah. So after the fire, brewery officials focused on procuring state grants to mount a rebuilding effort that restored their brewing operations. Brewery chairman Nick Matt told the Utica Observer Dispatch in May 2009.
Nick Matt.
And it's the worst. Okay.
The man has 2 first names.
You know what it is? It's and this is on my mind, of course, because our life, but it's the Luigi Mario. Mario. Like that's where
Mario, Luigi Mario. So how many Marios are there between the 2 of you? There's 3. He's Mario, I'm Luigi Mario.
Yeah.
So this is literally the joke from the first movie.
We have had an opportunity to upgrade equipment. We are going to end up with a canning facility that is more flexible, faster, and more efficient. It will be a facility that is better than before. We lost 15,000 square feet of warehousing space And now we are rebuilding 23,000 square feet of warehousing space. And as a result of changing and moving operations, we're going to be able to streamline some of our operations.
It's a good hard pour I hear in the background.
Yeah.
No, you do.
Bottling returned to FX Matt Brewery after 1 month.
Also, Bob Hoskins is the greatest Mario, and I'll die on this hill. You can't convince me otherwise. Bob Hoskins is the greatest at any role.
It's true. I'm not going to argue with that. Bob Hoskins was a treasure.
He is
He was.
me.
I was about to say national. I was like, wait,
No,
from.
Global.
Shmee's me.
So there is a there's a bit here that I did forget to get into the episode. Something I ran across. Adding into the level like we should know about them. They do contract brewing for other breweries.
Of course they do.
This may be the meat and potatoes of why we, in all honesty, why we don't know them. Because their numbers for contract brewing may be counted under their own numbers and not under that other brewery.
Yeah, that's like locally. One of the biggest by volume brewers locally, I won't name. It's just easy to pick out from the packaging. Do just like an absurd amount of contract. Like nobody buys their branded beer, but their absolute metric ton of contract brewing they do. Yeah, they crank out a lot of beer.
They do. Let's see. In the 70s, they did Billy Beer.
Wow.
They do. They one thing we'll confirm is they. Let's see. 80s, they can count for New Amsterdam, Amber Beer, Pete's Wicked, Brooklyn Lager.
Pete's Wicked's a big one.
Yeah,
up there at least.
Yeah, Newsman, Albany Amber, Dock Street Amber, Blue Moon, back when it was, and Old Hurich. But they do not tell anyone now what kind of contract brewing they're doing.
Well, not for a current contract, no.
But they have an odd history with, well, not odd, but they had I didn't really get too much into it in this, but like Brooklyn Brewing and them had a strong connection, contract brewing, but also like with some GABF stuff.
Okay,
sweet. If it's true.
If it's true. If any of this can actually be believed.
Or are we just being gaslit? I mean,
we know some Matts. Maybe they made up this whole story.
Could be. It's AI. But AI tells us that Matt Brewing has a few beers they are particularly proud of, mostly in their Saranac line. Their oldest brand is the Utica Club, which was brewing before and after Prohibition. Matt Brewing also claims to have made the very first variety pack of beer. Woohoo!
Again, on that list of things like we should have known about this before now, they can't be real.
We have found nowhere to collaborate this as far as the time of the episode's over. As things go with AI, they tend to not back up with sources. We tried to find a few to highlight their collection between the brands, which is probably more detailed than you're going to get on the website, which is supremely unhelpful in researching this, Bob says.
Let me get into why, like trying to describe what their beers are. They have one sentence describing any one of their beers, and you can't find a single beer. They're always in packs, a variety pack. I'm looking at this website going, this is garbage.
I wonder if they were the ones that made the Walmart brand beers.
Oh my God, that would make so much sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It was a variety pack straight out the gate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that could be how they pushed those numbers.
Mm-hmm. Oh. We're getting our tinfoil hats on now as we get deeper into this.
Pale Ale. So officially it's an American Pale Ale, but previously it was an English Pale Ale. They've converted the beer over to that American style. They've also dialed up the hop profile, adding more focus to the American style hops rather than the English, of course, like Cascade, Chinook, Citra, and Willamette. This is, I guess, the move into the new world of brewing. Hop infusion. Every drop of beer is exposed to their hop slurry as the beer passes from fermentation to aging. They're using torpedoes, right? or something very similar.
Like, yeah, copyright-free torpedoes. Except, like, they just flat out tell you, like, hey, here's how you torpedo.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, you can't. Well, I guess you could
I mean,
copyright.
Sierra Nevada isn't like they're not like, oh, it's top secret. They're like, no, come look at it. We'll tell you all about it.
You want to make better beer? Let me show you how.
Yeah, they're like, no, the world only gets better the more people that know.
The generic version, I don't know if you can even call it generic, but the version that's sold for homebrewers is called the Hop Rocket.
Hop rocket.
I want to ride the hop.
So it'll give you a ride, all right. That's whenever I give like any tours of breweries or what, I'm like, oh, you want to taste the hops? Are you sure you want to taste the hops?
Are you putting hop pellets on people's tongues?
Brittany,
I'm just holding
Brittany,
it out there.
What's the answer to that question?
That's a big nope there.
No, you're a coward. You learned a lesson last time. I have learned nothing.
My
Oh,
statement remains.
you learned a lesson from her.
Well, no, because I also did it.
Oh, gotcha. Yep.
Yeah, but I will do anything that I think someone else will find funny. So,
Dance monkey.
yes, that is my role in this show.
Sarnac's Pale Ale Foundation was built on the tried and true English varieties, Golding and Fuggles. They have brightened the Pale Ale with the 3C hops that focus on Citra being the strongest and the Cascade Chinook being backup dancers. Then they bridge the old world and the new world with two very distinctive hops, Brambling Cross and Jester, both descendants of English and North American varieties.
So I was kind of thankful that Beer Advocate still had some stuff from, like, I'm assuming their old format of their website, because the new one made everything impossible to find. So we're kind of working with what I could find on, like, Beer Advocate in similar sites.
Gotcha. Next up is their Sarnac White IPA. They say it was a tasty, innovative twist. What a twist on a traditional. What a tweet. On a traditional IPA, taking a delicious American IPA, bursting with citra hops, and giving it a whole new direction by adding the refreshing fruitiness of orange peel and coriander and the softening characters of wheat, malt, and oats. You'll notice a more complex hop flavor that you've come to expect in their new IPA, or in an IPA, balanced with the extraordinary bright flavor of a wheat beer. Cheers to twisting tradition.
They just made Blue Moon.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like, right?
They're like, well, we contract brewed this for a long time, so we just started rebrewing it.
Some different hops, but like, they're like, oh, yeah, orange peel. People like that.
I wonder if they up the bitterness.
Yeah,
Does pretty well, so let's just slap a new label on it and call it something else. They can't prove it.
They're thinking here's exactly, we get a bulk discount on coriander and orange peel. Let's go ahead and use that bulk discount to make a new beer.
Mm-hmm.
We've got all this coriander and orange peel extract sitting back here. Let's use it.
Utica Club, 5% ABV pale lager, has 137 calories per 12 ounces. Introduced in 1933 in its current iteration, I guess you could say, because they did it before.
I think they did it before. It might have been some conflicting sources. So
gotcha. At the West End Brewing Company, today known as Matt Brewing Company, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It was the first beer officially sold after Prohibition. It is a minor brand in comparison to the brewery's primary line of Saranac beers. Some affectionately refer to Utica Club as Uncle Charlie, and to Utica Club Light as Uncle Charlie Lewis. Okay.
I guess Lewis for light.
Yeah, UCL.
That's that is some Cockney rhyming slang kind of there, except it doesn't rhyme, but just like the like Uncle Charlie and Uncle Charlie Lewis. It's like, sure,
I can
why
see
not?
the college kids in Utica stumbling in. Like, I'll take a UCL.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
totally like what that boiled down to.
Oh, it's funny you mentioned college kids. Let's keep going.
Utica Club sales have seen a 9% sales increase from 2004 to 2005. USA Today reported in 2005 the sales increase of beers such as Utica Club and Pabst Blue Ribbon are part of a retro beer trend among younger
At the time.
drinkers.
Look, those 13-year-olds have got to learn to hold it together.
Yeah, I bet you Natty Boat was in that one as well.
Yeah. I'm just looking at that going like, man, remember that trend? Remember back when you're just seeing guys like, oh yeah, we get that PBR. You're like,
You know
why?
nothing about that, Bob.
Getting
I
getting
definitely
that
remember that.
Mickey's, that OE when the
I remember
drinkers-
we were not in a part of the country where PBR was seen as highly sought after.
Mhm.
And so even though that one time in college I got a 6-pack of PBR, I believe it was about as old as you could get beer because nobody had touched that in years. And it's still to this day, I think, probably the worst beer I've ever had. But I kept it because we were in a completely dry campus that actually came in and checked your room for it.
Alcohol,
as well as
noticeable
that-
alcohol.
As well as that worked, you don't know. But we know they at least did not have 100% success rate on finding it.
No, they did not. Apparently,
Man,
diets.
Pepsi cans. When did Pepsi start using paper logos that are just scotch taped on?
This diet Sprite seems
Yeah,
awful.
Diet Sierra Mist with grapefruit, and it was
That's-
awful. It was very much awful,
It sounds it.
Oh, you don't know. How
especially when
awful.
you mix it with Two Fingers tequila.
There
Everybody's
it
got a
is.
tequila story. That one's mine.
That's his. I was a bad roommate.
Speaking of which, no transition.
Being a
Bad roommate.
bad roommate.
Bob's got to go.
There we go.
I was like,
Drink
I don't know
with
what
me,
that transition is to.
I thought we have a new sounder. What are you doing?
Oh, damn it. What? Look, it's been a whole quarter. Get off me.
No, that's not it.
Just a moan is all I got.
That was a scotch bit.
Excellent choice. Should be for 95 cents.
The sparkling muscatel.
Okay.
Yeah. So what
Well-
are we drinking, guys?
Several things. We started off the night with an Orval 22 because it was all I could find. I was kind of sad. I didn't want a freshie of Orval. That was I sent a picture to the group of me trying to pour it, and you couldn't contain the head on the freshie. And I'm just like, it's a science experiment. The yeast is still alive. Yeah, as of recording, we were recording on the March 25th, which is World Orval Day, celebrating the Orval Trappist Brewery. And after our series 2 years ago, 3 years ago,
God.
2 years. Last year was Scotch, so it was the year prior.
okay, talking about the Trappist Brewery. Anyway,
Does not seem that long ago.
it doesn't. But I wanted to help participate and shoot some sales movement their direction because it still makes me sad after we did that. And it's like all the Trappist breweries are closing up and going away, and those beers are delicious. And listen to those episodes. I don't know if you've just for some reason not listened to our Trappist Brewery series.
Where you been?
Yeah, where you been?
No.
Go listen to those.
You're-
The history behind those breweries and monasteries is amazing.
It's super cool. It's also, again, there are no monks anymore.
Yeah.
They're a dying breed.
Me and Bob definitely got to like flex our history in those. And we're like, no, we're going full frontal history in these.
The
everyone-
subtext of those episodes is Napoleon's a dick.
Well, it's a theme of history.
Oh, a certain section.
Well,
Of
it goes along with the overarching theme of God, white people.
it goes along with Napoleon's a dick and don't build your monastery on the French-Austrian border.
But yeah. So Orval, it doing it for you? It getting you there?
Yeah, delicious, amazing as always. That's where where we started, and then dove into because it's box season, and so a bit of local goings on. The local box that's always made, that for some reason escapes my mind. It's usually made by Christian Moorline, but the company has been changing hands. So the Emancipator was their usual box. It's been for like 20 years. Every season they do a Bach. Wasn't around this year, so Mad Tree picked it up and did Gutenbach.
This is a great can art, I have to say. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's great. Cincinnati, if you didn't know, massive Bach town. It's like this city just went, no. It's a rather unliked style of beer. They're like, we're going to make it our biggest thing.
This. I was going to say, like, nowhere else in the world are you going to find a Bach Fest. I don't think you'll find one of those in Germany.
No.
Bucktown got it going on.
Cincinnati, home to the world's largest Bach beer festival.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was good. And then I even moved on after that to, I don't know, this old half-acre beer, the Magic Power, that's been rotting in my fridge where good beer goes to die.
Just picturing He-Man at this point going, I have the power.
I mean, I could also gloat and be like, well, at brunch I had,
Yeah, look, you've done enough flexing about brunch.
Oh, at brunch I had a chemtrail mix. Oh.
Yeah.
He's calling it brunch. This was like 1:30 in the afternoon.
Isn't that when brunch happens?
No.
Brunch happened like at 11.
It's like 11.
Brunch can't happen after lunch's normal time.
Yeah, like that's...
That is the tail end of lunchtime.
Then I'm just a drunk asshole in the afternoon.
Oh.
She's like, well, it's not wrong.
You said things. I don't know.
Well, fine. Bob, what were you drinking?
Well, I had went out to go buy some drinking beer for the fridge. So grabbing just some old favorites.
As opposed to his rubbing beer that he rubs on himself.
Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. And I grabbed some Abita Purple Haze.
Oh.
I was expecting to be transported to a magical place, as I remember Abita the last time I had it. It was fine. I had too high of expectations.
What's that born on date?
That's also a good question. I can't see it right now on the bottle, and I don't really want to.
That's a sign.
It's a sign that I have had like 3 of those, and then as we were discussing what we were drinking, I remembered I had to go run off and grab one of the Baba variants I kept. This one was for Daddy. The peanut butter banana Baba.
Oh God.
Yeah, no, that's all for me. You don't get any. It is great. It is peanut butter.
Jelly.
No, and banana. But actually, there's a nice little bit of banana. And I remember asking the brewer, like, how did you get that much banana in there? He's like, just a rainforest of banana went into that.
Rainforest of banana.
You're like, all right. He's like, yeah, it's like my recipe, like the recipe I would give you guys for how to make a cheddar bay biscuit from Red Lobster, where it's like, oh, just put enough, just keep adding garlic butter. And then when you think you've had enough, add like 4 more cups. That's essentially the idea for these bananas.
What's the longest you think that anybody's door dashed? Like the furthest location?
AC is now trying to get the nearest Red Lobster being like 200 miles away. You realize you can get them frozen, right, Casey? Or you can.
What?
There's no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They sell them frozen.
I've never seen them frozen.
Yeah.
You can the mix too. Actually,
Yeah, you can just get like boxes of mix.
So I've made the mix. The mix is not the same.
You don't need the mix. You can just make a regular biscuit, and then just add just a boatload of cheddar, more garlic than God intended to be on this planet, and then like enough butter that it must have come from every cow that has ever existed and ever will exist, and that's going to get you roughly your batch of.
we've had a lot of asides, and I just have to add another one. If Brittany remembers when a friend of ours that we went to, we didn't go to his place for New Year's Eve. He was at a place and brought a girlfriend who worked
Oh,
at a
yeah.
Red Lobster and like sniped the recipe for the biscuits and made a bunch at home and brought with her. And I was just like the whole time I was like, yeah, I've dated people for far less. Like knowing how to make Cheddar Bay biscuits, it's like, yeah, really, that skill will carry the relationship for just a little while.
And it did, and actually,
Yeah.
that person, they are no longer together.
I will also say, because I didn't mention it, but the Baba comes from Ethereal Brewing.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Maybe someone doesn't, not from Kentucky or nearby, and went, oh, where is this delicious thing? Oh my God. Imagine Baba, but also you add peanut butter and banana, and that's what you get. And that all of those flavors are delicious.
I mean, Ethereal's number one on the list. The Cincinnati beer group, someone was like, I'm going to be in Lexington. The brewer shit up. And it's like
Ethereal.
400 people jump in, and it's just like Ethereal.
They do great stouts. They do great sours. Like,
I had to be the one who stepped in and be like, not beer, but you should try out Void.
Also true. That said, a lot of people, there's some crossover between the two.
A little bit. It's like a 2/3 crossover.
Yeah. Anyway, Casey, what are you drinking?
I made myself a little Slimmin' and Slime Slooper.
I don't like any of those words.
I was just like, is he slurring? And like you said, he was going to be pouring heavy. I was like, are we having a bourbon episode?
It is a whiskey sour made with Slimmin' and Slime juice. So I say that because
I'm picturing you
super lemon.
Mm-hmm. So slime juice is just making me think that you have grabbed Slimer from Ghostbusters and are squeezing him to get the juices out.
I don't want to know what you're squeezing on him to get these juices. I don't want to know what these juices are.
I'm picturing you grab him like whole and you just twist until he becomes like thin.
You're grabbing Slimer
a
whole
washcloth
with both hands.
Like a washcloth, exactly.
And you're
just twisting right towards Jesus.
Like, I hate you guys so much.
And yet you came back for us to continue another year of this.
I thought it would get better.
You married one of them.
Yeah.
Oh. All right. Anyway, Casey, I'm sorry. I'm a monster.
No.
What is slime and juice?
I'm the one getting in there with both hands and twist.
Super lemon and super lime juice. So there is an issue, and Bob, you will probably be astutely used to this or knowledgeable of this. You make lemon juice and let it sit for more than 24 hours, it tastes bitter. Like,
yeah.
What?
Just like, no, don't want it.
Yep. So the reason is there are 3 acids inside of lemon juice and lime juice to some extent that make up the flavor, and one of them oxidizes. The other 2, malic and citric acid, are really the ones that pull the flavor, but that third acid will oxidize, and it takes that bitter flavor when it oxidizes. So you fresh lime juice tastes good. 12-hour lime juice is absolutely a horrible mess. So I have been researching this method that was created by a bartender actually in Louisville, and we need to go to his like dive bar at some point, like even go just a weekend and go say hey, because he created this super lemon and super lime juice that gets rid of this problem while also keeping the flavor, but more importantly, you can make like 6 times more lime juice with the same amount of limes. Yeah. So what you do is you peel the lemon or lime, whichever you're looking for. You peel it and zest it more or less. the whole thing with a vegetable peeler. So you get the whole lime has to be peeled basically. And you take that lime zest
I was a fan of
and,
Zeston.
yep, you take that and you soak it in, not in any liquid. You soak it in citric acid and malic acid powders, just the straight powder from those two acids. You let that sit, and it starts to pull out the liquid and the oils from inside the actual fruit, and creates what they call a it's sort of like an oleosaccharin if you're in fancy cooking, but this one's like an acid version of that. Mix that with water, blend it up, let it sit for a day to extract all the flavor, and then strain it, and you've got lemon or lime juice that lasts for over a month.
Yeah.
So I'm running trials right now at the brewery because I don't want my people having to juice limes every single day.
No one wants that.
That isn't it like that's part of the like theater of it. It's like when you're going and you're
You're
at
slapping the mint.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of those things like when you're getting these drinks to get that little bit of it. You want to see them actually like squeezing and juicing stuff.
When I bartended, I loved nothing more than getting behind a wall where no one could see me and just making the drink as quick, fast, and dirty as possible. I had a restaurant to get their drinks to. I did not have time for theater.
If I was sitting at that bar and someone just stepped behind a wall, I would assume they're stirring it with their dick.
Yes, and
Meanwhile, in Utah, that used to be the law. Might still be that you had to go behind a wall.
behind a wall, not stir it with
to
your.
make a drink.
I was like, whoa, did Utah just suddenly get like really cool?
Not where I was going with that one.
In Utah.
I don't think it's the law anymore because when we went, I remember like getting a mixed drink poured out in front. But we also went to a restaurant that I feel had been, their bar was built before that law changed. And it wasn't an old restaurant. Like, it was a fairly new construction. So it's been in the last like 15 years maybe. But they still went behind the wall to mix it because that was just the way theirs were. Kind of like you had that little cubby over to your left at the bar
Yes.
at Red Lobster.
Yeah.
They would have one like that they just walked into to make the drink and then come back out.
I mean, the other thing too is I just when I would do a closing shift, it's like, you there, pretty girl bartender, you go deal with the customers. I will handle the well.
We make more
What?
tips this way.
Why? You are bait, and you will make us money. We will split these tips, and you will do less work. And I'll even walk your food for you. You just sit there, talk to people.
You're like, I'll get them drunk.
You do the thing I can't do. Talk to
Exactly.
people.
See, Casey, knows what's up?
Hey, I would have done the same thing. As much as I'm that fake extrovert.
So I've learned just as much in our what we're drinking as I did in our episode. Like, this is very informative time back.
I learned that I don't have an egg in the house.
No, to make the good frothy. Whiskey
That was
sour.
one of the best. Was
By the way, Casey, I don't know if you saw in the doc, I've renamed this whiskey sour.
I have not.
The Slippin' Slidin' Slurper whiskey set.
Yes. Made with Crown Royal bourbon mash because I was almost out of that one, and so I wanted to get rid of it.
The Hanukkah of bourbon mashes. Lasted for 8 drinks.
The reason for the egg, although it would have been nice to have it for a whiskey sour. The reason for the egg, though, was a Cheddar Bay biscuits. I was going to make some, but I have no egg.
That was more of a of recognition, not a of approval. I won't eat those anymore.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
you have a reason.
Those were emergency. I am working a double shift. And I didn't take a lunch foods.
See, I don't have that. Like, I worked at McDonald's for quite a while, and I don't have any aversion to McDonald's food. I'm still like, yeah, I'm fat. Give me a double quarter pounder and some nuggets.
That was lunch today for me.
After 5 years of working there, like, I don't want the mayonnaise there anymore.
Look, you had a different experience there. I was there with a mutual friend who, like, we worked the overnight and had a habit of taking all the unpicked up food that just sat in the, like, it was in the thing where it should have been handed off to a customer, but never was. And there would just be like this backlog of sandwiches from like the past 2 hours. And our mutual friend and I would just make awful concoctions out of that.
You made the
This is how you get
McGangbang.
The McGangbang, the McLand Air and C. That's when we're just like, all right, we're just gonna start stacking these things. And
Can you get the Atlanta RNC now?
yeah, anytime you can. Like they have the fish sandwich, chicken sandwich, and obviously burgers constantly.
Okay.
Yeah, that is Airland and Sea.
Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was something that they like now promoted somewhat.
No, they don't
Like-
promote it, but
I
like,
think for a minute they were like, "Oh, look," but it just a
for a hot minute,
lean
they're like
into it.
our secret menu. It's not secret at all. Basically, just go. Yeah, don't try and order it. Don't be that asshole. Just get the separate sandwiches, throw the extra bread away, and assemble it yourself.
All right, we have
Way over.
we need to stop. Today I wrote the episode. I used sources from Beer Advocate, Wikipedia. Honestly, the best source we had. NewYorkHistory.org. Their actual website, not called Matt Brewing Company, Saranac.com.
I continue to maintain
I
that this is
promise
all
you,
like
2
completely
weeks
made up.
ago, we found mattbrewing.com and we were all staring
joke.
at it. Like all four of us were on that website.
And craftbeerclub.com. But yeah, that's what helped us get through this episode.
We're all being gaslit.
And these people were responsible.
Matt Brewing is not real.
I'm gonna
Matt
try to
Brewing
do a
can't melt
who is
steel
look-
beams.
Sarah Neck. I don't know why I misspelled that. Oh well. I feel like if I do a who is, it'll be like, oh, domain was purchased last week. And it could very well be they just renewed last week, but
It did feel like a Squarespace site.
Did they renew last week?
All right.
Oh wow, created in 1995. What?
Stop lying to me.
95.
They've covered their tracks so well.
Last update was
It goes all the way to the top.
2021.
There's only one explanation. Time travelers. Someone heard this episode, got access at some point to a device that lets them travel backwards in time. And
Yep.
they have set this entire thing up. It's a bootstrap paradox, I understand, but here we are. And Casey, why don't you tell us about where you can get some resources like the things I discussed a few minutes ago before we went into time travel?
As a matter of fact, you can at haveadrinkshow.com or follow us at Have a Drink Show on social media, and Twitch TV.
Oh god, we're gonna be slurring our words. Yeah, and you can tell us your favorite drink, ask a question, or just leave some general feedback. You can use the email address feedback@haveadrinkshow.com or use the feedback page on the website. Carrier pigeons have been reallowed in my apartment complex, so you can send those if you wish, or scream loudly into the abyss. I am there with you. I can hear you.
All joking and fun aside, we'd like to remind everyone to please drink responsibly, even when we are on hiatus and gone for months on end. That doesn't mean it's your opportunity to go nuts.
God, did we go nuts in just this episode, by the way?
A little bit.
Definitely. I mean, it
A lot
was-
of pent up drinking.
I mean, I've just been like random drinking while painting, which leads to other things, but it's
Iron crosses just kept popping up in your child's bedroom.
man.
but yeah.
Sorry.
Painting them over, not painting them. 3 coats, man.
Of purple for that matter. Like
Which I have dubbed no going back purple, because you go that purple, there's no primer covering that back up. You can get
Black.
the Bears. All right.
Get us
Y'all ever
out of
done
here.
the street view of Matt Brewing Company? It's interesting.
All right. Check us out in another couple of weeks for the next live episode. And remember to check out or not live episode. You know what? Whatever. I haven't rewritten this in ages. That's not the point.
Need to
We're drunk to tape this for the time being.
Yeah. So
That's the new slogan. We're drunk to
Drunk to
tape.
tape.
there we go. Art incoming. So no matter what the day and time of publishing and such, go to Patreon. Please support us. That'd be great. Also, haveadrinkstore.com. We do have updated merchandise.
Matt
Hooray.
Brewing stuff will be in there.
I kind of want to
ASAP.
upload the logo. Honestly,
No, we need to go deep now. If Matt Brewing can exist, so can the ladders.
yeah,
There we go.
make some more stuff for that. Like a whole a backstory. Like okay,
That's fully
that's
on
a side
Casey.
note. Anyway, once again, oh shit.
Yeah, no shit. Hold on.
That is the slogan of Matt Brewing Company.
It's again. Oh shit.
Oh shit, we gotta go update that. Change it. I
Okay.
said something.
Once again, I'm Brittany Walker.
I'm Justin Frazier.
I'm Christopher Walker.
And I'm Casey Price. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this bowl.